On a remote hillside in Brazil, shrouded in the whispers of the wind and buried beneath the veil of time, lies one of the most chilling mysteries that has baffled investigators, haunted locals, and evaded reason. It is the story of two men, their deaths wrapped in bizarre circumstances and masks of lead. August 20, 1966, began like any other humid day in Niterói, Brazil. But by dusk, two men, Miguel José Viana and Manuel Pereira de Cruz, would be lying lifeless on the slopes of Morro do Vento, their bodies found in what seemed like the scene of a ritual. What happened to them remains an enigma that no one has been able to crack. Let me take you to that hillside, a place where reality and the surreal collided in a horrifying, unspeakable way. The two men were technicians in electronics, simple men by most accounts. Yet they were found dead under circumstances that can only be described as bizarre. Their bodies were discovered by a young boy flying a kite, laying side by side, dressed in identical waterproof coats, with strange homemade lead masks covering their eyes. No signs of struggle, no visible injuries, just stillness. But here's where the strangeness deepens. The area where their bodies were found was not known for heavy rains. In fact, it wasn't even the rainy season in Niterói. Those thick, impermeable coats they wore seemed almost unnecessary. Was it precaution, paranoia, or perhaps they knew something we don't, something that required them to shield themselves from an unseen element, something intangible? What were they expecting to encounter on that dry, windswept hillside that demanded such protection? Next to them was a cryptic note scribbled in shaky handwriting. 1630, be at the agreed place. 1830, ingest capsules. After effect, protect metals. A wait signal. Capsules, a signal, protect metals. The words felt like the fragments of a dream, or perhaps a nightmare. Authorities were called in, and an autopsy was performed. But there were no obvious signs of violence, no poisons in their systems, nothing to explain their sudden deaths. And yet, the lead masks, heavy, emotionless, rested over their eyes, as if shielding them from some unseen force. These masks, unlike anything found in any ordinary case. Thin yet weighty with a suffocating burden of silence, they covered only their eyes, leading investigators to speculate. Were they attempting to protect themselves from some blinding light? Or were they trying to avoid seeing something so horrifying, so otherworldly, that their very minds could shatter under its gaze? The lead, cold and unfeeling, was more than just a material. It was a symbol of desperation, a barrier between them and whatever monstrous revelation lay in wait beyond human sight. Rumors began to spread like wildfire. Some said they were part of a secret cult, others whispered of alien contact, and a few believed it was an attempt to transcend to a higher plane of existence. After all, the 1960s were steeped in experimentation with the paranormal and with substances that blurred the line between reality and delusion. As investigators dug deeper, they uncovered fragments of a darker truth. Miguel and Manuel had reportedly been obsessed with the idea of contacting extraterrestrial beings. They had purchased books on telepathy, dabbled in spiritualism, and spoke frequently of an impending signal from beyond. They were not alone in this obsession. Others in their community were swept up in this fevered search for something greater. But the question remained. What were they truly waiting for that fateful day on the hill? And what went so terribly wrong? What if, just for a moment, we entertained the idea that they did in fact make contact with something not of this world? The capsules they allegedly took, though never found, may have been their way to open a gateway to protect their minds from an overwhelming force that no human brain could process unaided. Imagine, if you will, the moments before their deaths. The sun is setting over the hill. Miguel and Manuel sit in eerie silence, the wind brushing against their skin. They glance at their watches, 16:30. They wait, their hearts racing, adrenaline pumping. They look at each other, no words necessary. 18:30 approaches. They take the capsules. Maybe they were hoping to see a sign in the skies, perhaps a ship descending from the stars, or hear voices inside their minds. The lead masks, cool and heavy in their hands, were placed over their eyes. They had to protect themselves. They couldn't risk seeing too much. Whatever awaited them was not meant for human eyes. But instead of transcendence, they were met with silence. The capsule, whatever it was, began to take hold. Their hearts slowed, their breathing became shallow, and there, on that hillside, they slipped away. Not into another dimension, but into the cold embrace of death, waiting in vain for a signal that would never come. Or perhaps they did receive the signal, but it wasn't the one they expected. What if they saw something in those final moments? Something that terrified them so profoundly that their minds simply shut down. Something that could explain the masks, an attempt to shield themselves from seeing the unimaginable. Their deaths remain a mystery to this day. No concrete answers, no closure. Just two men, two lead masks, and an unsolved puzzle that continues to haunt those who dare to investigate. What if, on that lonely hillside in Brazil, something did reach out from the stars, and what it found wasn't ready to be seen? And so, the lead masks remain, waiting for a signal that may have already come. If you enjoyed this chilling look at real-life mysteries, please consider subscribing and giving this video a like.